Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And yeah, as the title suggests, like create a game in 25 minutes, kind of, like with a lot of like kind of exceptions and like saying, oh yeah, this is kind of done, but this is not really done, stuff like that. But we'll go into that. So, and also like the thing, it's not just creating a game in 25 minutes. It's also like a React-powered game, and React as in itself is usually not known for game development. So yeah, a couple of things that are going to be very interesting during the course of this talk. So, but before we go into all that, let me introduce myself. So, I'm Johannes, and I'm originally like from the Munich area, like Augsburg, if people are familiar with that. And right now, I live in London actually, and it's like very interesting because in London, people really have a hard time pronouncing my name, and they just call me Joe instead of Johannes. So it's really great to be back here, and actually people call me by my name and can actually pronounce it. So on the internet, I'm at Frostney, but on Twitter, there's actually like an underscore at the end because the name was already taken. So sorry if that causes confusion. So by trade, I'm a web developer with some mobile thingies, and I also, like, what I really like to do is actually, in my free time, in my spare time, I like to create games. Like, those range from, like, year-long projects up to just, like, a couple of game jams, like 24-hour game jams, or 48-hour game jams. Like, those are really great in my opinion because they give you an idea in like a set amount of time you need to finish a goal, or you're able to experiment with a specific constraint, which is usually the time and the theme, and then you get to experiment with that. And the game jam, for those of you who are not super familiar with the term, is pretty much a hackathon, but instead of creating like an app or something like that, you create a game instead. So that's what I like to do in my free time. Also, like, this is going to be super interesting. Like, I really love live coding because it's like, it's super interesting in the way that either, like, if I make a mistake or something like that during my live coding session, like, everyone is like a backseat driver and can say, oh yeah, you forgot like a semicolon or a comma or whatever. And if it's not fun for me in terms of like debugging through it, it's always fun for the audience, I feel like. So yeah, let's get back into what we're going to be doing today, or well, not today, but like throughout the rest of this talk. Just a disclaimer right here. It's not going to be a full-fledged game, like at all. Like, don't expect that. So what we're going to be doing instead is I'm going to go through some things that you would usually do when developing a game, like a couple of things you're usually introduced by, or a couple of problems that you are usually introduced by when developing a game in a very short amount of time. And I'm going to show how those can be achieved with React and how this is actually maybe a bit quicker than like your usual ways. I'm controversial now, so don't kill me yet. And of course, there will be rough edges. Like definitely through the time constraint, there's not going to be like a whole lot of time to polish everything through and like to account for all of the edge cases when developing a game. So let's go into the problems that I mentioned like in the previous slide. So what we're going to be doing, for example, is we're going to be moving some stuff around on the screen, and we're also like kind of going into like different things that you usually are being introduced by, like updating something on the screen every frame, and like how to do animations maybe if the time permits, and those kinds of things. So, obvious question, of course, like, why use React? because there are like many game frameworks out there, and many who are probably better suited than React itself. So the thing is, for me personally, I've been doing React for like 2 years now, and so I'm biased here, like I'm super biased. But for me, developing with React is like way quicker than using anything else. So, and with this thing is that you should use what you're most familiar with. So for me, that's React. And so pretty much everything that I develop in my work time and in my spare time is usually done with React, because that's just what I'm most familiar with. And like when I was doing jQuery like eons ago, all of my games that I developed in my spare time use jQuery, which I usually don't admit in public, but it's fine. So some of you might not be super familiar with React, so I'm going through just some of the core things. Like one concept in React is that everything is a component. And this looks like this, for example. So we're trying to build a character. So this character usually has a head, he has arms, he has legs, and those kinds of things. So in React, every one of those things would be a component. And for example, let's say we want to be able to display different things depending on what we put in. Like say we want the arms to either wave or not. Then we would say, okay, we're defining waving as a parameter, which is going to be destructed. So then we can, depending on what we put into the component, we can display different things here. And another thing is that people who are not super used to React is probably like the first big hurdle when they see any React code, and that is JSX. So when we declare components like this character that we're doing, we're saying, okay, there's a head, there's a torso, there's arms and legs, but hey, wait, this doesn't look like JavaScript, this looks like more like XML. Yeah, this is kind of JSX. And so when we want the arms to be moving the arms to be waving, then we just say, okay, let's put in waving next to arms, and then it will be passed down to the component. So there's a funny story actually here. So when I was doing game development with native languages such as C++ or other kind of things, then I usually had like an XML file, which was eerily similar to this one, where I had like my kind of game objects built and like built through different components. And then an XML parser then just took all of those tiny bits and made a visual representation out of that. So I feel in that way, actually, React is very similar to game development. Oh yeah, let's actually get to coding, right? So I said 20 minutes ago, but I've been actually talking way more, so it's more like 16 minutes, sorry about that. So yeah, let's do some code. Oh, I actually totally forgot what kind of game we're gonna make today. So it's actually gonna be like a kind of pirate game. Let me just get some code on the screen. So so what we're gonna be displaying today is like two kind of ships, and they're gonna be moving around, and then maybe shoot cannonballs and stuff like that. And now it actually sounds more amazing that it's gonna be in the end, but just gonna hype you up for that. So yeah, first we have like a game component, and then we put in a background, which is water. Then we put in the first ship. Oh, if I can type actually. And we put it in right here. Okay, first ship in. Then we put in the second chip, probably well, somewhere different. They shouldn't overlap, because overlapping is kind of bad. Right. Hold on. Double Y's, that's not good. That's why I love live coding. So yeah. So now I'm actually doing something interesting here. So we have two ships on the screen, both are the same. But we kind of want one to be like the bad guy and one to be us. So we're gonna say, putting in like a black flag, and now the second ship is like a bad pirate ship, and we are like the good guys, and trying to destroy this pirate ship, and so on. Okay, so yeah, this is like the kind of like the starting point for our game. There's some magic going on, which I'm gonna explain right now. But first, like, just look at this for a moment. So we have this background, which is the water, and then we have like a first ship, and then the second ship. And as a children element of the second ship, to denote it's like something different else. Something else. We're just putting in like a modifier to say this is going to be a pirate ship. So magic explanations time. So this game component that we've seen so far, it actually consists of more things. So in there is a loop, a stage, and a world. So let me quickly explain that. So the loop is a game loop that is happening, so that we can subscribe to. Pretty much, like, if we want stuff to be done like every frame, we can subscribe to that and then update it. Like the stage is handling our viewport. So let's say we say our initial game is going to be like 800 pixels by 600 pixels, but if we resize our window, it shouldn't like go outside of the bounds of the screen, but it should resize with it. So that's what stage is doing. And world is pretty much like a physics world. So I could show you how well the viewport resizing is working, but it would mean that I need to resize my browser, and the slides would actually not handle that. So I'm sorry about that. But the slides will be online later, so you can check that out for yourself. OK, so now we got stuff on our screen, and we want our ship to be moving. So let's put in a key event. So, oh yeah, this key event wants a function. All right. So, and then here we are going to say, as a parameter, it's like the buttons that we are pressing down and the state. OK, so first thing, we're going to check, like for the S button, like key code, index of, key S, like, and if it's there, we're gonna return like the Y position, like an updated Y position for this ship. And the initial position we're getting from the state. Oh no, it has to be plus, actually. All right, let's check this out. Yeah, and hold on. It kind of moved, right? Everyone saw that? It moved? All right. Let's try this again. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Of course, if I can actually press the correct key. No, that's not it. All right, I think I got it now. OK. Let's try to move it again. This time, oh, yeah, it's moving. Oh, thank you. Right. So now we can actually pretty much copy-paste it for every other key. Let's do the W key. And I'm actually running super out of time, so we probably need to be quicker with my copy-pasting. Right, so it's moving a bit, and then also like the other axis, A. And right, A and D, and hold on. Yeah, this is good. This is good. It's moving. Maybe not fast enough, but it's moving. It's moving. Let's make it faster. Sorry, I'm super nitpicky about those things. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, it's moving faster. So what we saw here, though, like it's just now moving like either horizontally or vertically, but it would be great if it would be like also be moving diagonally. So in order to do that, we're gonna define as like a movement object. And then instead of returning directly, we're just going to modify this object. Movement, all right. And there you go. No syntax errors, please. And forgot an E, of course I did. And there we go, almost done. And then we're just gonna return some movement. Right. Right, diagonally, yay! Okay, it's amazing. Feel free to clap, though, if you want to. So yeah, magic explanation time again. So we saw before that we're saying, like, inside of the children, we're putting in components, but they're actually not visible components, but they're just modifiers for the parent component. So that's actually pretty easy to do in React. We're just saying, okay, like, iterate through all of the children, and if it's like the thing that we want, like in this case, our key event, it modifies our parent component in a way. So this is what we're doing for the key handler, for the black flag that I showed earlier. And yeah, it's probably not something you want to be doing in a web app, but it's pretty neat for games because it allows you to logically structure your components better. Okay, next thing. Sprite sheets. I found an explanation on the internet that says a sprite sheet is an image contains larger, smaller graphics in a tight word arrangement, and it looks something like that. So what we want to do when we're moving our ship, instead of just moving it around, we want it to go in a specific directions. Let's say, so if you're pressing the W key, it should take the image with the ship going upward and those kinds of things. You know I'm talking faster because I'm running horribly out of time. So I'm sorry for that. So to actually update the ship, I put something in that I called like a direction index, which automatically pulls in the correct image. So if I put in 3, it will display like to the top right. If I put in 4, it will be in the upwards position, those kinds of things. So what we just need to do here, we just need to say, okay, if I'm pressing the button, then instead of we're going to rename this to, instead of movement, say new state, because this is more obvious than before. Refactoring for the win. And then we're just going to say new state, direction index. And then for the W key, it's 4 because that's what it is right now on the screen. And well, let's just do W for now, because time is running out. OK, and then it displays the ship in the upward position. And I'm just going to put in random other things in, just to test them. But they would probably not work correctly, because I don't know the correct indices from the top of my head. All right. Yeah, it's kind of working. Good enough, good enough. OK. So this is the last thing that I'm going to explain in a bit more detail before just going through the rest of the slides super quickly. So what we want to do here, we just, like this pirate ship, we just want to put in like on a patrol, like on a kind of path, maybe. Well, not a path, like just moving from the left to right and then from the right to the left again. And there's a thing called onUpdate, which allows us to go ahead and update the state of the component on every frame if we so desire. So if I do this, for example, like I'm putting in the state, and then I'm returning an updated position for the x-coordinate. Let's say state x plus 4. Then you see it's moving like around. And if we're going to do that correctly, then it looks like this. Yay! So like the code for this is like pretty verbose right now. But pretty much what it does is it defines 2 positions. And then if it reaches 1, then there's like a few flags around that switches over to going to the left-hand side and then to the right-hand side. OK. So I'm going to skip through most of the slides now, unfortunately. So I just want to show you one thing. On this one, for example, you could actually shoot the cannon, and then like a little ball would show up. And it's really nice. I really like this animation, even though it's like super simple. And then we have to skip through the things. But imagine it's a finished game now. Or kind of. Well, still, even if we were able to go through all of the examples, there's still a lot of things that need to be figured out. Like, for example, like the collision detection, like putting in the physics and stuff like that. Also, like there are a lot of edge cases. And for example, like also all of those tiny details, like the cannonball shooting. Right now, it's just shooting up, but the actual cannons are like on either side of the ship. So it probably should be like 2 cannonballs shooting like from the left and the right. Yeah. So what did I do that with? There's a library out there called React Game Kit, which you can check out. And then, like I did, I put like some components on top of it, and it's really great to work with. And like this is the library author. This is Ken Wheeler, and that was him trying to convince me to use React Game Kit for the slides. No, just kidding. I used it on my own for you all. But shout out to Ken Wheeler, though, because like I originally had like a physics example in here, and I couldn't get it to work. And then Camila tried to debug it with me like hours before the presentation, but it still didn't work. All right, and I am out of time. Thank you so much.